North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer, who was a member of the Armed Services Committee, was in the room. And we welcome Wisconsin Congressman Derrick Van Orden, who was a Navy SEAL. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Senator Cramer, you did some testimony yourself there, which I really loved. Hadn't heard that from you before. But in general, you're a man of faith. I'm a man of faith. Pete Hegseth is a man of faith. Donald Trump is a man of faith. But what did you take away from the hearing today?
Well, Larry, several things, but the first thing I took away is that Pete Hegseth is absolutely the right person for this job. I mean, not only the warrior ethos that President Trump wants him to bring, but people that underestimated or understate Pete Hegseth's intellectual capability have not been around Pete Hegseth. He rattled off facts and figures and historical, anecdotes like a pro, and he was very comfortable in the room, and he had a lot of support in the room, as you might know. I've never seen a nominee for anything have as many supporters in a hearing room as he had today. And then the other thing I took away is just how pathetic Democrats have become in just their blatant hatred for no reason of Donald Trump and all things Donald Trump. And I think in many cases the incoming that Pete and his family have to take are because they resent Donald Trump more than they resent Pete Hegseth. And they just better get over it, Larry. The world is on fire, to your point. We've had weak leadership for 4 years, and we've seen the response by the world to that. The world is looking for a strong America again, and Pete Hegseth is the absolute perfect person to lead that charge at the Pentagon. Yeah,
Mr. Van Orden, I want to get your take on this. I was surprised at how unwilling Democratic members of the Armed Services Committee, which is it's a real major league committee in the Senate and the Congress. I was quite surprised. None of them wanted to work with Hegseth. None of them. Really, it was just hammer away, hammer away, hammer away. A lot of it was the smear stuff, the anonymous smears, or nitpicking. You haven't commanded enough people in your life before, as those senators have. I think at one point, Senator Wicker said, well, senators don't manage many people in their offices either. I thought that was a good rejoinder. But were you surprised, Mr. Van Orden? And what in general did you take away from the hearing?
I was not surprised at all. There are no more moderates on the Democrat side in the Senate, and that is a shame. And here's what happened today. Pete Hegseth had a great day. Donald Trump had a great day. The American people had a great day. You know who had a horrible day? Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un. Hezbollah, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, the Houthi rebels had a horrible day today because we got somebody now in the Pentagon who's going to follow Donald Trump's lead and make sure that we have peace in the world again. We are closer to World War II than we have been in my entire lifetime. It is now time to project peace together, peace through strength, and Pete Hegseth is going to bring that home and bring America across the line. We're going to protect our citizens and our allies for the first time in the last 4 years. It's fantastic. We're thrilled. There's a bunch of Navy SEALs, my brothers in combat and arms that came here today to support him, and we're very, very thankful that our Republican members, and thank you, Senator, that got Pete Hegseth into office, and let's go. America is back.
By the way, Hegseth was not afraid to fight back. Do we have the clip of Hegseth fighting back about these anonymous smears? Can we run that clip? Here it comes, gentlemen. Take a listen to this, because, Pete is a fighter. He's a strong guy. Here it comes.
A small handful of anonymous sources were allowed to drive a smear campaign. All they were out to do, Mr. Chairman, was to destroy me. And why do they want to destroy me? Because I'm a change agent and a threat to them, because Donald Trump was willing to choose me, to empower me, to bring the Defense Department back to what it really should be, which is warfighting.
So that was some, tough stuff, Senator Cramer. I mean, Hegseth's not going to let anybody push him around. And I watched it. I mean, I actually watched the whole thing. It's pretty rare for me. Some of it was riveting. Some of it was embarrassing. But what did you think? I mean, Hegseth, he can take a punch, but he can give a punch back.
And appropriately so, Larry. I think it's always a tough spot, right? It's tough to be the witness. You want to be respectful of the senators. He was to all of us. He really was. And but at the same time, you shouldn't have to sit there and just take a pounding or a punch in the nose over and over and over again without defending yourself a little bit. I thought he struck the perfect balance, quite honestly. And in a lot of cases, they were trying to Kavanaugh him. What they were trying to do is, for example, they don't like the FBI report because it didn't go deep enough. They didn't talk to enough people. All the questions about the FBI report and the other witnesses and whatnot, said, well, they didn't talk to this person, they didn't talk to my person. What they want is they want some sort of an investigation that proves their narrative. And when the investigation doesn't prove their narrative, they just want more investigation until it does prove their narrative. And the reality is the investigations have proven Pete's narrative, that these were just anonymous sources, smear campaigns. The Democrats latched onto it. Frankly, they looked very weak today, I thought, and I hope that they can make a recovery, because at the end of the day, we all have to get together and defend this country as one.
Well, I think Democrats have to learn they are not in control of the Senate anymore. They are not in control of the White House. They are not in control of the House of Representatives, and they are not in control of the policies either. I want to come back to that because Mr. Van Orden talked about it, but here's just one thing. I love this dust on the boots. He's been on the ground in combat, dust on the boots. Now, here's a wonderful colloquy with Senator Tim Sheehy quizzing Pete Hegseth. Take a listen to this.
What is the diameter of the rifle round fired out of an M4A1 rifle?
That's a 5.56.
How many push-ups can you do?
I did 5 sets of 47 this morning.
How many rounds of 5.56 can you fit into the magazine of an M4 rifle?
Depends on the magazine, but standard issue is 30, Senator.
And what size round does the M9 Beretta standard issue sidearm for the military fire?
A 9mm, Senator.
What kind of batteries do you put in your night vision goggle?
Duracell.
So right there, you're representing qualifications that show you understand what the warfighter deals with every single day on the battlefield.
So, Duracell batteries and lots of push-ups. Very impressed with all those push-ups. Mr. Van Orden, Derrick Van Orden, he is kind of a soldier's Pentagon chief, won't he be, if he gets it? He's this will be the first time, I can't remember in how long, he's sort of representing the actual soldiers' combat, and he knows his stuff backwards and forwards. Now, I think that's what really matters, not these anonymous smears. Did you see it that way? Do you think the public, the viewing public, saw it that way, Derrick?
Yes, I do. And listen, man, I'm the longest serving enlisted member of the United States military to ever be elected to Congress in the history of our nation.
Oh.
And here's what Pete Hegseth understands. The Chinese Communist Party doesn't care what your pronouns are. They care about whether or not you can put warheads on foreheads. And that is exactly what Pete Hegseth is focusing on when he talks about increasing lethality. We have the highest educated military and the most powerful military in the history of the world, and we have not won a war in 80 years, which means it's time for a change. And that change's name is Pete Hegseth, who's going to follow Donald Trump's lead as the commander-in-chief and make sure that the United States of America and our allies are protected from all enemies that are trying to destroy this nation.
You know, Kevin, I think it's important. We have to remedy all the appeasement and failures of the past 4 years. And I'm sorry more of that didn't come up today. I'm very sorry Democrats won't talk about it, but okay, so be it. They're going to be highly partisan. They're going to have to learn the hard way that they don't control the Senate, they don't control the presidency, they don't control the House, and they don't control the policy. Okay, so be it. But, you know, Afghanistan was, in a sense, the beginning of the end. The retreat from Afghanistan was the beginning of the end of the Biden presidency. He never achieved popularity numbers like that. It was all downhill from there. He appeased Vladimir Putin, hence Ukraine. Remember, don't? Well, Putin did, okay? He appeased Iran. He unlocked all of the economic sanctions in Iran. He tried to make a deal with Iran. He was with Israel, except on days when he wasn't with Israel. We couldn't really tell which was going to be the the side. I never saw him snap back at China, for example. I never saw him in the meetings with Xi say, what are you doing in the shipping lanes in the Pacific, for example? Or even look at what Donald Trump has done just in the first couple of weeks of his transition, talking about the strategic value of Greenland, talking about the strategic value of the Panama Canal and the Monroe Doctrine. This stuff never. So we're back on our heels under Biden. Now we're going to have a much bigger footprint, aren't we? That's kind of came out in this hearing from time to time, but that's really the mission at hand now. We have to recover our foreign policy bona fides here. We have to recover America first.
No question, and Pete did a great job of addressing that multiple times, including going through the menu of failures that you just did under this current president. But by contrast, when Donald Trump was president, he either ended wars or prevented wars, but he didn't oversee the beginning of one. And now I think you're going to see him end some wars that Joe Biden has helped oversee, and probably Ukraine fairly quickly, and probably even, who knows, in Israel fairly quickly, because he's so engaged. But a lot of it is, and it comes down to the point that I made with Pete at the very end in my questioning. Deterrence is not just a weapon system. It's not just a nuclear triad. Deterrence is an attitude where you back up your words with actions, where your words actually mean something both to your adversaries and to your allies. And Donald Trump has that. Pete Hegseth has that. In fact, I think Pete Hegseth, with the dust on the boots, which I agree, Larry, love that illustration. But what people should know about Pete Hegseth is, while he's a dust on the boots sort of guy, there is no compromise in intellectual capacity as a result of that. He is a brilliant man who's extremely eloquent on the issues that matter.
Well, he's Princeton, Harvard, so I mean, there's a lot of firepower there.
He still turned out well.
He covers it up beautifully. Derrick Van Orden, are we close to a deal? Do you think a ceasefire deal and a hostage deal with Hamas finally? I'm reading about it. President Trump has made mention of it. Do you think we're close to a deal? Can we ever trust Hamas?
No, we cannot trust Hamas at all, ever. Just as we cannot trust the mullahs in Iran to ever have a nuclear weapon. So I hope we're getting closer to a hostage deal. I think Hamas understands that Donald Trump means exactly what he says. And I grieve for our Israeli brothers and sisters who have had their children and mothers and fathers held hostage by these savages. So here's what Hamas better understand. You touch an American, you harm an American, you harm one of our allies, you're never going to have another peaceful night's sleep again. You're not going to. We will reach you out, we will find you, and we will destroy you no matter how long it takes. So let those hostages go now, and we may think about allowing you to live. That is a direct message to Hamas.
You know, Mr. Van Orden, what you just said and the way you said it is something Donald Trump would say. I think it's something Pete Hegseth would say. But it's something that Joe Biden never said in 4 years. No. Just like you put it, sir. And therein lies a big part of the foreign policy worlds of fire business that we've had to suffer through with America's decline in international prestige, just the way you said it. Anyway, time's running out. Thanks to both of you, Senator Cramer. Thank you, House Member Van Orden. Thank you for your service